also for the rest of the accounting course. Okay, so the accounting equation itself is very important. No matter what, never be violated. So when you are starting running a business, you should know something that you definitely need assets. So definition for assets are very important. What is asset? Especially since you have the right of the object. Okay, it's very important. You need the right. You have the control. So that's why you have an incoming resource. We call that asset. How do you have the asset? Because it can be either from people, invest the money, or from the things that during the period you make the money. So this is we call that equity. Because of equity, then you can put into your assets. Then you are running the business. So from the beginning, the owner or the partners or the shareholder depends on the type of the corporation. Let me say it again. If you're the one-person company, you are the sole proprietorship. You are the only owner. If you are partners, you have at least 2 or more people to join to running the business. If you decide to run by the corporation or firm, okay, or the company, and all the same words, okay, then you need a shareholder. Shareholder means 股东, okay. Then you have the money here. Can be in the beginning, of course, it should be the cash, okay. So at the same time, the assets equals equity. So you also need to know the 2 major parts of equity. Some from the investment, we call that capital. Some from the money you earned, we call that net income. Okay? No matter how long or how short the business we're running, the money net income always being accumulated. Keep on. So that's why we call that balance sheet, okay, or the status of your financial statements. 可以变成你的财务状况表，或者叫做资产负债表。Okay, so after you have these 2 parts, you might need more money. Because only the money from the investment, especially in the early stage, okay, you need to borrow money from the bank. So now you started having the liability. Liability means you owe someone money. Okay, so they are your creditor. You are their debtor. Okay, different roles. So that's why make this can be the money from here, can be the money from here. Okay, so that's a very easy thing. So you have to know in the beginning when you are learning accounting, especially for the debit credit. Okay, you have to know the construction of the whole thing, of the company. Okay, we have the major part composed with different accounts. Then the resource of assets may come from the investor, may come from the money you have earned for the past few years. Then may come from you also your creditor money in order to get enough resource. So that's why we have this equation. Since we have the equation, now I think we have discussed that last week pretty much about the equation. So it's a time. And I believe the TA also show you some practice for how to the change of this equation. Okay? Now it's time to remove the equation mark here. Then you will see the left side, we call that debit. The right side, we call that credit. You don't need to worry, even you translate to Chinese, 借. That make you even more confused. Why 借? In Chinese, we say 借钱. But actually, you are holding the rights for something. 不要把你的 tangle with 借这个 definition. You just think this is a signal, 一个符号. That's it. Okay. 所以说呢 so that's why no matter it's debit and the credit, we just give the name of that, okay? So, for example, from the chapter 1, last week you learned if someone invests the money, then you have $1 million, cash from the capital. So, in that case, on your book, 你的账户上 you do this way. You do debit, for example, today's October 19. Your book, you will show cash, credit, capital. $1 million and $1 million. Okay, so this will be the language you are using. So later on, you are so familiar to translate the concept, the story, the transaction to the language like the right side. Okay, then you understand you don't need to talk to me. Then once I read this debit credit, the language, I know what happened. I know about the transaction right away. Later on, you might use the $1 million to purchase some computer equipment. Next day, okay, you need to run the business. So that's why you purchase some computer equipment with, like, for example, $200,000. So you increase also because you own the computer. So they are one of the items of your assets. So you have computer equipment, $200,000. But the problem is you are running the cash here. You are using the cash here to buy the computer, which will cost your cash less and goes to $800,000. Then how do you express you are using the cash? Because cash is on the left side. So that's why supposedly it's always on debit side. But if you are using a math equation, you know $1 million, if you minus $200,000, go to $800. Then you can do another way to do that. How do you do that? You can use $1 million equals, okay, you move the minus signal to the right side, $200,000 and $800,000. Then this is the way, another way to express the math, okay? So anything supposedly debit, the asset belongs to debit side. Liability and the equity belongs to credit side. Anything you want to decrease, you go to the other side. So that's why here, how do you know you decrease the cash? $200,000. Because you put originally debit side to credit side. Okay, which means you decrease something from your assets. This is very important. Okay, positive, negative. So here you put your entry. We call 这叫做借贷，叫做 entry 啊，分录。Later on we show that 分录 entry, and we are writing entry 分录。Okay, so second day you are using part of money of the $1 million to purchase your computer equipment. The way the entry you are writing, you are using language is something like this. So it's very easy to tell you are running some cash in order to buy some equipment of your assets. Okay, so this is something we're moving to chapter 2. But I always like to tell you from chapter 1, let you know why you are analyzing the equation. And here, the equation here, so the definition for the equation, accounting equation is very, very important because we know the equation can never be violated. Okay, but before you do that, you should know the definition of each three major parts. Okay, so assets, you own something. Okay, then asset must be equal to the claim against those assets. What does that mean? Claim. Okay, so the owners or the partners or the shareholder, they can claim the money from the assets. Okay, and also the liability, like the creditors, that you owe them. So let's start. We skip the break because we waste so much time. Okay, so the liability, they can also claim the money from here. Okay, so that's why the definition for asset. So you should know this. We have already discussed with them. Okay, liability, you owe. Asset, you own. They are different words. Okay, then the equity here is also important concept. I just mentioned, actually, equity covers not the investment, not just the capital. It also covers the money you get. Okay, so we can further reform the equation like this. Okay, assets equals liability, and also it covers two major parts: the capital, the major capital, and also the net income. These two major parts. Okay, then how do we know the net income? 中文叫做本期损益，本期损就是 loss， 益就是 gain。Okay, how do you know that? Because in the beginning for the service industry we have revenue. Later on, when we are moving to manufacturing accounting, 当你变成制造业的时候，我们可能这个 revenue 就变成 sales。Okay, 你可能比较 you are more I think you are more familiar with sales. 销货. Okay, for example, we buy some watch, we buy some cell phone, mobile phone. Then for that store, they will say, oh, we have a $500,000 sales for today. That sales actually the same word of revenue. 这个 revenue 收入跟 sales 是一样的字，只是 for different business. For example, you are doing the service consulting business. 如果你是所谓的咨询做服务业的，那你可能 say revenue。你如果是卖的 merchandise 就买卖业的 ，okay, then you may call it sales. Actually, the same thing. And then you have something incurred. You spend out money. Okay, so revenue minus expense. The result we call net income. Okay, so you can see the words here. We have owner capital. That means the money, the owner they invested, and the operating performance. Operating performance means how much you have the money in, and how much you have the money out. So the result, we say that operating performance, 营业成果、营业绩效都可以。Okay, so then why is residual assets? Okay, because the equation showing that is like this: assets equal liability and equity. But for based on the corporate law, 我们有公司法。Once you are running not so good, you probably will step into the bankruptcy or reorganize. 我们有称叫做企业重整，或者更糟糕的话就是破产。Okay, so if you are going to that stage, then the first thing you need to pay off all the money. They have a sequence, priority. You have to pay off the money first to the government, whatever tax you owe. 你要先清偿政府的税金 Okay. Second, you have to pay off the money you owe to the bank. 你欠银行的所有的借款 Okay. Third, you have to pay all the supplies you purchase 你的供应商你买的东西，你欠人家的货。Okay, then you have to the fourth one you have to pay off all the salary you owe to your employees. Okay, then finally, if there's any money left, then go to the owners, partners, or shareholders. That's why make the equation like assets. You have to clean all the debt you owe first. Then anything still left, go to the equity. Okay, so that's why we said it's a residual asset. Anything left, the residual asset, the equation should be like this. Okay, assets, pay off the liability first, then anything left. So that's why there's another word for asset, equity. If someday people ask you, how much is for your residual assets? Then you should know what is residual asset. You have to use the total assets minus the total liability. Then that's the question you want to provide to them. Okay, residual asset means equity. Same word. Okay? Then, so the definition, we are not discussing more because here we have accounts receivable. That's the right. That's not real money, but still you have the right to own people. At someday people will pay the money back to you. So normally, the difference between accounts receivable and the notes receivable. Accounts receivable is very abstractive, 非常抽象. You set up accounts for your credit sales for your customer. For example, you cannot, doing the business just by cash, especially nowadays. We have everything purchased on e-commerce. 电子商务 is so popular. So there's no way you can get money right away when the sales incurred. 当销货发生的时候，不可能马上拿到钱。So normally, your Department of Finance 财务部门 will investigate your customer, their credit. The credit check in Taiwan probably is not that popular, but in other Western countries, especially if you are staying in the United States, someday you want to rent an apartment, you have to pay $20 or $50 by yourself. For what? For the owner, they want to check your credit. You pay the money, let someone else check your credit. Well, that's the way they run. Okay. So when you are planning to rent an apartment, first thing they want to pay the money for the credit check. Then they will evaluate the whole world for the past few years. How's your credit? If you can pass, then they decide to rent the apartment to you. Okay. So credit maintenance in the United States is very important, and I am not sure about the other country. At least, many years ago, when I had my third baby. Okay, actually she's 22 now. At the time, I was in the United States, and I went to the department store buying a suit for my husband. But at the time, I was using the credit card. At the time, it's not so popular to use in the credit card. So later on, I received the credit card sale, just like the credit sale. Okay, you buy something without cash, but later on, when you receive the bill, then you pay the money to the bank, credit card bank, not the store. But that's because that was over 20 years before, so I'm not so familiar the way to pay off my, the money I owe. So I walked into the store, paid about roughly $400 US. I cleaned the bill because I received the bill. So I walk into the store and say, this is how much money I owe. And the store man, the sales there, he didn't know anything. Okay, you want to pay off the money you owe. So he took my money. But actually, later on, the bank still chasing me for the money I owe. Okay, so that's why it made me a mess. credit because I owe the money to the credit card company. But for myself, I think I already cleaned the bill. I paid it in the store. Okay. Then after a couple of years, I tried to rent an apartment. They said, you have a bad credit before. I said, why? I never owe any money from anyone. But later on, it showed me that's because the credit card company think they didn't receive my money. So that I become bad credit. Okay, that's very easy, popular for Taiwan. They have a, the connect to the whole world. So that's about the credit. So accounts receivable is something similar like that. The Department of Finance, they will investigate the customer whether they can give them 10 days grace period or 2 weeks in order to pay the money. So if I have a good credit, then I purchase something from this company, then they allow me 2 weeks to pay off the bill. Okay, if I have a really not good credit, I probably will only have 3 days to clean the bill. Okay, so that's about something. Actually, when you have accounts receivable, actually the sales, the revenue, someone tell me, when I'm giving someone accounts receivable, allow him to pay the bill within a week, 7 days. In that case, today is October 19th. Will the sales exist or not? Or will the revenue exist or not? Kevin, you have learned a little bit before.
It will exist.
Exist. Yes, because it happened, it incurred, because the rights already transferred to the customer, because the customer already received the item he purchased, even though the cash is not happened yet. Okay? So for today, I'm going to write, like for example, the item is cost $100,000. So today, I have a accounts receivable. We usually like to write AR, accounts receivable for $100,000, because accounts receivable is one of the items of asset. Since it's an asset, it should be shown on the left side. So I should write debit AR $100. But what about here? What about here? Because I just say the sales incurred or the revenue incurred, I might write sales $100,000. But why sales on the credit side? Why, or you can write revenue? Okay? Why revenue you put on the credit side? Because still again, here, the net income composed of the revenue minus expense. So revenue also part of equity. When I have the revenue, I will increase the amount of the equity. So they both are on the right side of the equation. So that's why the right place for sales is on the credit side. So once you learn the language, then you see there's an entry on the book on October 19th. Then it's debit, accounts receivable, credit, sales, $100,000. You don't need to tell me what happened, what kind of transaction occurred in that day. Okay, I know we have a sales today. Then I know the money hasn't come in yet. Okay, so this is the entry, this is the language. So that's not that difficult. Okay, so the definition for asset is very important. And the difference from the accounts receivable goes to the notes receivable. The difference is the notes receivable normally we implies to check. Okay, it's very possible people will write your check. In Taiwan we have a 商业本票，那我也可以用支票，然后是 but it's less and less popular. It's not that like 20 years ago, check is so popular on the market. Now everything is doing on the e-commerce. No one will write a check, but still we still have some. So you still have to know about notes receivable. Is the paper format normally, OK， 所以它的差别一个是票据的一个是一个信用的一个账户 account OK，and the others I think it should be very easy to tell they are assets. And also another way is the right side, the credit side is the liability, which means the obligation. Just like you have accounts receivable, and the other people, for them, they are accounts payable. Then for the company, if we have notes receivable, then for the customer, for them, it's notes payable. Okay, so it's a creditor's claim on assets, and it could be tax payable. Why there's a tax payable? Because in no matter in Taiwan or the other country, when you have sales, then you have to pay the sales tax. Then in Taiwan, the sales tax is about 5%. And actually, I think it's very popular and depends on the item. I think most countries do the same way. If you, like the place I live in the United States is Minnesota. If Minnesota state, if you purchase in all the clothing, you don't need to pay tax. But in other states, if you buy the clothes, you have to pay the higher is 8% of sales tax, which means if the clothing, the tax price is $100, then the total amount you have to pay is $108 because 8% is the sales tax. But in Taiwan, if you are buying something with $100 for the store, they receive $100. Oh no, yeah, because we have intrinsic 内含税. Okay, if the store have the cash receive $100, but actually we have a 5% tax. So the sales for that day is only $95. Why? Because $5 is tax payable, 应付营业税. Then later on, every 2 months, the company they have to upload it, the totally tax money they receive in their pocket and pay to the tax bureau, pay 去请付国税局. Okay, so that's why we have a tax payable. Before we submit it to the government, they are in your company, but they don't belong to you. So the sales itself only covers $95. 所以这就是我们国内国外的不一样哈。大部分的国家 ，most of the country, the suit is extra or intrinsic. Extra. See, in Western countries, it's very popular, and whatever you see the tax price, 那个标示的价格 then you pay extra sales tax. But in Taiwan, it's included, so people never feel that they are paying sales tax. Actually, they do. OK， 因为我们是内涵，所以你没有感觉你在付营业税。OK， 营业税。OK， so that's why we have a tax payable before they submit it to the government tax bureau， 好，政府的那个财政部。Then you can also have a wages payable， 因为 most of the part-time job they don't pay you every time you finish your job. You work for like 5 days, then they pay you every week. You pay for 10 days, then they pay you every 2 weeks. Okay, but before they are paying to you, really pay you cash. For the company, it's wages payable, 应付薪资. So as long as you see the payable, then they are liabilities. They are liabilities. Okay, the equity, then we cover like this. And we mentioned last time, it's very important concept. So that's why people in the beginning to learn the entry make them so confusing. So we have the revenue here. Then we also allow the owner, they can withdraw the money from the company. So the whole structure for equity, the major two parts is the capital and the net income. Since we allow owners or partner, but definitely not shareholder. Have you ever heard that I'm the shareholder of, some big company, and I won't get the money I invested back? No way. If you want to get money, you sell your shares. 你卖你的股票, you can never get money from the company. But if you are run by the sole proprietorship, 如果是独资 or partnership 合伙人 partner, both partners or the sole proprietorship 独资人 owners, they can withdraw money from the company. When they do that, they reduce the whole amount of the capital of the account in the company. 如果这些独资者或合伙人要从公司拿钱或拿 any property, any asset, for example, last week I gave you example. Okay, the company purchased 10 very updated iPhone 13. Okay, then you walk in the owner or one of the partner walk into the office. Oh, I want to have one. Can he do that? And most of you don't agree, but actually they can do that. Once they do that, they have a capital withdrawal with the amount. For example, that iPhone 13 costs $30,000. Okay, then you originally have $1 million investment capital. Then since you take away the iPhone 13 worth money of $30,000, which makes your capital amount goes to $970,000. 原本100万，因为你从公司拿走了3万的 iPhone 13，那你的资本额就变成97万。Okay, so that's why we here you can sometimes see capital withdrawal 叫做业主提取。So that's why make here the equation we see 2 minus signal here 有2个减号。So that's why we restructure the whole equation to assets. If there's some capital withdrawal here, if there's some expenses happen, equals the original liability, the original capital, and the original revenue or sales. Then this is the most important equation should be like this. Why? Anything go here, debit. Anything go here, credit. Actually, I'm saying about the things about the chapter 2. Okay, so like this. So you can tell me. Actually. So that's why if you have any sales incurred, sales go to the right side here. So sales should recognize as a credit account. Any expenses, since later on after we reconstruct the equation, expenses, the positive signal goes to the left side of the equation. So anything, if we have, you purchase, okay, today is the payday, then we pay our salaries for our employee. So that's why if you want to record the entry for like $50,000 for the salary expense, then what should you write? You should write salary expense $50,000. Then you pay by cash $50,000 for today's payday check. Okay, why you write this? Because expense is important. Expense goes to the left side of the equation. That's why the right position for all expenses goes to the debit side. Then since you are using the money to pay the salary, since you reduce the asset, because cash is your asset item, 现金是资产 when you reduce, decrease, 减少你的资产 you move to credit side. Okay? So that's the language. Can you feel that you are talking to me? We have the same common concept about accounting. Later on, once you are very familiar with the entry, then you can become a bookkeeper now. Very basic, you record all transactions on your book. Okay. 所以 this the reconstruction, reformat the equation. The position is the item for each side is very important. Okay, let's do it again. Assets plus capital withdrawal, if there's any, especially plus all kinds of expenses. Then all these three major items, the right place is for debit. Okay? The reason why students get confused, they just can't get it. Capital, everybody knows you have to write. But expenses is something you spend out. Why they are on the same position? Okay, actually you cannot see it this way. You should go this way, the original one. All this happening goes to the equity but for the math, the calculation way or the math definition, we can remove everything from the negative to the another side become positive. OK， 负数移到另外等号另外一边就变成正数。那我们的所有的借贷都是以正数为准，所以业主提取也好，费用类也好，它都是跟资产一样用在借方。这个关联性很重要，所以你就一定要记清楚这个，不然你就会后面的语言就搞混。OK, so here, then I think I already asked Tia to let you practice all these questions. Then we're moving to Trump class for 1-3. Okay, let's jump to the. Can you log in your Trump class? So you need more explanation for these examples. OK, 我们很快的讲一遍好了。If you feel not confident for this part. Okay, here the owner, Taylor, invests 30,000 cash to start a consulting business. So there are two accounts involved. One is cash. Another one we call, starting from now, you have to learn all the accounts. When you are learning language, looks like you are learning vocabularies. So cash is the first vocabulary. And the owner's capital is a new vocabulary. Okay? So we have increased asset cash, increased capital cash. So both are plus, increase. So the balance are kept. Okay? And later on, with the cash to purchase some supplies for the office. So you decrease cash, then you increase supplies. Let's do this way. This is only concept. Let's transfer the concept to entry. 我们提前 practice the language, okay? So you can put on your book next to the question, how you are going to become the transaction, become the entry. So it's number 2. Okay, since Number one is easy. You have cash, then you have Taylor capital. So for the entry, 我们现在写分录 ，OK? The first one, it should be like this, $30,000, $30,000. 那你在写 entry 的时候注意啊 ，left debit, right credit. Then you have to keep an indent here. 差不多就是你们在 typing 的时候的 an indent 靠进去一个。Normally for Chinese, 2 characters. 差不多2个字的距离 ，OK. Then when you keep the distance, then the other side also keep the distance. You cannot write this way. Keep a line. No, you cannot do that. Even you say, but I keep the indent for debit and credit. It's still not right. You cannot do that. You have always keep a space here. 左介右带 There's something you have to keep in mind. Otherwise, when you have more and more entry every day on each pages, if you all keep online, no one know what you know, not easy to distinguish each entry. 每一个分录都必须把它介带，左右分得很清楚。And also, you have to maintain 3-digit comma. 每3位一定要打逗点。If you keep this, then I will deduct your point 我扣你的分，因为 this is the common way to be a business person. Always keep the comma for every 3 digits. 每3一定要记得打点。That's for your good. Later on, the number become bigger and bigger. $1 million, $1 billion. If you don't comma and you will, just 1 digit, you'll drive crazy. Especially for accounting the book. Okay, very important. 所以你们每3位一定要记得打逗点，对你是好的，你不会很容易发现你的错误。哦，这是个 good habit. Okay, so number 1, you know you should write that way. Number 2, you purchase some supplies. So supplies is your assets. So that's why they should be on debit side. Then you use your cash. When you decrease your asset, you put a debit, move to credit. So you should write this way. So after that, that's $2,500. Okay? Please write the number 2, the entry for your book. 所以呢 when you move to chapter 2, it can become easier for you to understand the real something. Okay. So number 3, I'm asking somebody starting from number 4. Okay, you purchase equipment. So equipment is also your new vocabulary for an account. 它是一个会计科目。So equipment also with cash. So the value for equipment is $26,000. So equipment is an item of an asset. So you are also using your cash to purchase. So the entry should be like this way. Be like this way. Please write down on your book or whatever. So number 4, so far can everybody understand? Follow me? This is the way you are saying for number 3. You increase equipment with cash. So you decrease cash. So you have to move the cash from the asset to the another side. 到现在可以懂吗？我们现在在讲的是一个借贷分录，也就是你的会计语法。所以当你看到的账户上有这样子，你就知道有人投资进来。如果是这样子，你就知道你用现金去买了一个公司的相关的资产。如果是这样子，你马上就懂 公司用现金去买了一些设备，不用去check on the original document， 都不用去看原来的收据，你就知道发生什么事情。这就是一个 common business language for accounting 啊。所以有学会计跟没有学会计的人就知道怎么样 can tell from your entry，OK？、Then, this is something different. I do it myself. Okay. Before we use cash to buy something, now we are doing that on credit. Means that the supplier they allow you to pay the bill within certain days. 他们让你不用 you do not have to pay with cash right away. 不需要用现金直接付钱，不需要用现金直接付钱。但是呢 there are still some supplies. So the first thing, supplies, still, money cost you $7,100. 这个7100块 you can say $7,000 and $100. $7,100. You can also say $7,100. 71个百，因为这个是百。$7,100 is also a popular way to say something big number. Okay, so we can say $7,100. Okay, but the thing is here, they give you credit. Remember, we are saying when anything with credit can be accounts receivable or accounts payable. Okay, so this one you owe somebody money, so you will say accounts payable. Accounts payable because it's not on cash. So number 4 is very important. So now on your equation list, then you have 2 items of supplies, which will totally to $9,600 here. Okay, then since you are running two supplies and equipment with some cash, which will reduce your cash to only $1,500. Then you have one more equipment. So totally together is $37,000 and 100. Okay, so 这样子. So another side, you has a new accounts payable, then original capital. So the equation are in balance. Okay, 它们还是平衡的。The only thing, something new is here. Is here. Okay, 现在到目前可以吗 ？Okay, can you follow? 听懂吗？后面呢？听得懂吗？听不懂就要 stop me。月龄可以吗？可以吼。后面的，我们现在做的事是已经 move 到第2章。Actually, we're discussing something about chapter 2, so actually we are fine. Okay. 好，那我只是想把它 combine together. But otherwise, you keep on practicing something for the equation that actually is meaningless. Okay, 只是给你一个 overall 的概念，但asset equal to, equals to liability and equity. That's actually you should be have the advanced usage for like this. Okay. 品瑜，你的问题是什么？
没有，我问第一个、第二个。
哪一个 number 几？
一跟二。
这个
First one and the second.
First one here.
Yeah.
What about
like.
the capital?
Yeah.
Capital is the equity 权益类。我们在讲 equity includes 一个 capital， 一个 net income。Okay, so 它们是在 equation 的 here， 所以它的位置要在这里，因为它是属于 equity。 你只要有这个 original equation 的概念，慢慢把它 extend 出来 ，OK？Especially 这个部分，因为它 cover 2个公司的组织的经费的来源，一个是投资人，一个是你自己赚的钱。那有你这些 equity， 才可能有公司资产的存在 ，OK？ 好，所以它一开始的 pattern 这样子。那 supply 是因为是资产，要用现金，就这样概念，可以吗 ？It's okay with we transfer to the entry. Actually, it's all about in chapter 2. 比较我们要多做一些。Okay, then moving to transaction 5. So the accounts payable goes to liability. Okay? Then transaction 5 provides service for cash because this is a consulting firm. So all the revenue resource you make money, you can call that revenue, or if you are a merchandise business, 如果是买卖业 you call them sales. Okay? 那问题的 problem is revenue here, also one item of equity. So that's why it's on the right side of the equation. So 它应该是什么 ？Credit. OK? 所以这个时候呢 so you receive cash. Of course, your cash increase. That's number 5. You increase your cash with $4,200. At the same time, the company contribute to business with revenue, 就是你的收入 $4,200. That's for number 5. 可以吗？懂吗 ？OK， 就这是你的 language. Okay, later on you don't need to tell me the transaction itself. I know company make money. Okay, that's number 5. So this is the new account, new vocabulary. 我们新的单词或者叫做会计科目。OK, account 就是你现在说 all the things here. Later on, they have its own details. 每一个 account 都有它变化的 details. 所以我们在做 bookkeeping. 现在这些事情，你现在的 chapter 1是 concept. This is our real things on your book. 这才是你账簿上真正看见的东西。Later on, 这些 account 乱七八糟，每天都这么多 so many transactions. Later on, you have to make it organized. 也就是说，之后我们会把所有的 account 的 details will have the list. OK, 那就是下一章节。OK, 所以你会知道，我们现在先做一步一步 ，step by step. The first thing you have record all the transaction on your book. 记录在你的账簿上。OK, but before you do the recording, you have to know the concept of the equation. 这就是我们现在如何串联 connect together. Okay, number 6. If you don't get it, please raise your hand. We can have more explanation. 进一步的解释。好 ，Number 6. Expense incurs. Payment of expenses. Okay, the company pay 1,000 rent 租金费用 and 700 in salary. 这些都是叫做 account. The new vocabularies. Okay, 所以 and to the owning employee. 所以呢，这里有 cash because you pay with cash and also two expenses. Okay, now back to here. Where should I express with the in entry with your expenses? Expenses supposedly go to revenue minus expenses. The result belongs to equity. Since we need to move the old negative to the positive position, 我们要把所有的负号的东西都放到正号的位置。Okay, that's why we change the equation like this, like this. 那个若词，可以，你现在这个我不要讲，你的那个镜头可以都比较前面嘛。我在讲 equation， 它照的比较清楚嘛，就稍微镜头我 zoom in 一点。
看老师，请就是那个叫什么黑板旁边有2侧嘛，你不要帮我就是超出整一侧这样就好了。
Okay. So after we reformat, okay, the expenses move from the right side to the left side. 所以呢，我现在有2个，一个叫做 rent expense， 所以 there's no doubt， 不要任何疑问，它放在 debit side 借方。Because 它从左的减变成正的符号在这边 ，OK？ 只要是正的位置，所以你现在要记得哦 ，you should memorize that start from now。所有这些的东西，它正确的 right spot should be goes to debit。All the item here goes to credit。不要去想为什么，因为呢，当你去struggling with the question, it's meaningless. You just write it right position. Later on, then you feel it's so comfortable to write your language. 就是在当我们 start learning a language, so sometimes if you care too much about the grammar, then you cannot move on. 你就太在意文法的学习，所以你的英文就学得不好。但如果你就随便乱讲，然后就觉得用直觉去习惯性的时候，你就后来你的文法就懂。OK， 所以 we have a expense rent for $700. We also have salary expense for the owning employee. So I made it wrong. Should be 1,000 for rent. 700 for here. So totally, I pay cash $1,700. OK， 这个是一个 advanced 的写法 ，or you can do this way。如果你还在小学生或是 toddler 在走路不清稳的时候，你可以 do two. The first thing you can say rent expense 1,000. Cash 1,000. 刚开始你的 beginning 你可以写 this way. You write 2 entries. 我们这个字这个分录叫做 entry. E-N-T-R-Y. 中文叫做分录。OK. 那我们在学就 on the book 你就在 do write entry. 我们这些借贷借的 entry. So the next one. Salary expense cash 700. So you can combine 2 together. So if I do separately, yes.
Times 2高的。我们要听那个说明会。
哦，他们不是要涂老师会过来吗？
线上。
涂老师也是，涂老师不会过来这边上。OK， 我们 finish this part。OK， 所以我们这个2个 individual 的 transaction， 2个独立的交易 ，you can combine 借放借，但是因为同一都是 cash， so you can total together up to $1,700。OK， 所以这个就是这个部分。Then， 因为我们有 have a promotion， everyone please go to 怎么看不到人啊？你们每个人 everyone please log in your teams。在你们的 Tron class team， 麻烦进入你的 teams。因为现在加拿大那边要跟我们 connect。
Okay, right now we welcome the Dr. Sherry from the University of Victoria. Okay, we have the big applause to Dr. Sherry. Okay, Dr. Sherry, you can begin your presentation. Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Excellent. All right. So I'm just your screen. So if you can just let me know if you can see it. Okay, maybe give me a thumbs up. All right, just give me 2 seconds here, and I will share the screen.
你们看一下你们的手机，用你们的手机看。
All right, can you guys see the screen? Is it all good? All good?
按下赞。
Sorry, I can't hear anybody. Can you guys see the screen okay?
Okay.
Okay, excellent.
Oh, so
All right,
so many thumbs up.
Sorry?
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm going to start now. Welcome everyone. My name is Sherry, and I'm going to be giving a presentation tonight on the Bachelor of Commerce, which is an agreement for dual degrees between the Gustafson School of Business and the AJ University. So we are located in British Columbia, which is here. As you can see, Canada is a very big province. And actually Taiwan is the same size here as British Columbia. So it's a lot bigger than Taiwan, but only 5 million people live in this entire area. So it's actually very big. This is downtown Victoria. As you can see, there's a lot of green trees. The air is very clean, and just be aware, it's a large city. So most people do not come to Canada because it's a large city, right? We do not have very many large cities. Victoria is nice, small. It's very safe, and the people are very nice. These are some photos of downtown Victoria. Also, many people come here because the buildings are very beautiful and there's lots of nice scenery, and you can enjoy your time in Victoria. The population of Victoria is 376,000 people. It's also the sunniest major city. I know many people have an idea that Canada is very cold, but actually in the winter, it usually does not snow in this area. In other areas of Canada, it snows every day, all winter. But we're very lucky that it's only rains sometimes in the winter, and the summer is the best season here. 22, 25 degrees, no mosquitoes, no air conditioning. It's really a wonderful season. So that's another reason students choose the University of Victoria. So this is our campus. As you can see, there's kind of a round road here as a circle. So that's called Ring Road. And all of the buildings inside are the academic buildings, classrooms and offices and research centers. There's no cars allowed in here, so students must walk everywhere. It's about 10 or 15 minutes from one side to the other. And then we have many other buildings here, such as dormitories, cafeterias, movie theaters, sports complexes, and more things outside. So it's a very big and spread out campus. We also have the ocean right here. It's about 10 minutes walking from campus. Students like to go to the beach and hang out with their friends. So the University of Victoria has 22,000 students. It's kind of middle-sized university in Canada, so we're kind of in the middle. This is another photograph of the campus. This is the Ring Road that I mentioned before, which is here, and then other buildings are outside. So it's very large. It takes about an hour to walk kind of around the outside. Right. So it's a very large campus. Everything okay? Okay, I guess I'm gonna do speaker come on. Oh. I just lost my presentation off. And I hear feedback.
No.
I think the connection. No, I'm not. But the internet cut off my presentation, so I'm just going to open it again. So if you can just be patient, open it again.
Student, you have to turn off your microphone, otherwise you will.
Sounds like there's some problems with feedback as well. So just give me 2 seconds here. I'm going to reopen my presentation.
喇叭关掉。You have to turn off your
怎样啊？关掉，关我屁事哦！
不，它会干扰，会干扰。
应该不是我吧？那个叫什么？那个电脑号码有没有？赵华。
Yes, we are turning off. Yes, a student to turn off their microphone, so I think connection should be better. No interruption.
Right, okay, yeah. Okay, that's great. Yeah, I'm just opening up my PowerPoint again. Yeah, I don't think the connection is very strong today. So yeah, we'll just have to do the best we can.
你们要把麦克风关掉，只要
The
听这边
PowerPoint's
的
just
就好。
opening now. You can just be patient. And then, it's just taking a long time. Excellent. Okay, so I'm going to try out again. Just give me 2 seconds here to share my screen. Yeah, I've only shown photos of Victoria so far, but I need to get into the program and how it works. So I just need about 10 more minutes.
我的吗？又是我。
Do about.
我没有开过。我关了。不是你让他不要讲话。哦，叫他闭嘴。对。
Yeah, it's very laggy, very slow, and it's not really moving very quickly for some reason. I wonder if Zoom would have been better. It's moving very slowly. All right, can everyone see my screen? Everyone can see the screen? Okay, I will just hope you can see my screen because I can't hear anyone. Okay. All right, so these are some of our students at the school. As you can see, there's many different activities, and we really like to have students join. Oh, good. Can you see the screen?
Yes.
Yep. Excellent.
Yeah, we see the.
So we also have lots of clubs on campus.
老师你要关掉。
You can be perfect. Yeah. So we also have lots of clubs on campus, and we really suggest students to join some kind of club, photography club, sports clubs, because it's easier to make friends that way. So in Canada, right now, this is actually old. Normally we're second comprehensive university, but this year we just changed to first. We're tied with Simon Fraser University, and we're #1 in graduate employability. So that means students finding a job after graduation is a very high rate. So these are great rankings for us. Now, why do students choose BCom? So I will go over all of these sections in the next slides. So this is the basic program for 2+2. Year 1 and year 2, students will study at your university, Asia University, and you must study microeconomics, statistics, and 2 English writing classes. All of the rest of the classes can be non-business electives. Now, we have 3 semesters at UVic, fall, spring, and summer. So I don't think your university is the same, but in year 2, many students will complete 1 work term, which means that before starting the BCom program, they will work May, June, July, and August. You don't have to do this if it's not possible to get work experience in Taiwan before you come, but students must complete 3 work terms in order to graduate. So if you don't complete the work term here in year 2, then you will simply add 1 term here at the end. So it will be 2 plus 2 = 4, sort of, right? You will be studying 1 extra term. If you do have work experience, then you can let our office know, and you can complete 1 before you come to us. Okay, there's some conditions. So students start the BCom program, that's the Bachelor of Commerce, in year 3 at our university. We'll focus on BCom courses, 5 courses, 5 courses. Then you will work for 3 months or 4 months, that's up to you. Most students go on international exchange, but you don't have to. Then you have another work term, and then finally ending BCom specialization, which I will explain. So our specializations are international business, entrepreneurship, and service management. This will be done in the 4th year. So you don't have to apply it after year 3. Another specialization is called non-specialization, and students will focus on accounting classes. There's another school in Victoria that you can take some accounting classes, and when you graduate, you can get your CPA. So as I mentioned, internship is a very big part of our program, and all students must complete 3 co-ops to graduate. Now remember, co-ops in Canada are always paid, so you will be earning an average of $2,800 per month. So you will get the chance to not only also earn some money while you're here, which makes your parents very happy. So these are some of the companies that hire our co-op students. You can do your co-op in Canada, or Taiwan, or Japan, or Germany, or any other country that you want. And our co-op coordinators will help you to find a job that you want. We don't get the job for you. You have to interview and be successful, but we will help you to find where those jobs are. So another great part about studying in Canada is that it's possible to work during your studies. Of course, you should focus on studying while you are a student, but if you have time 1 day a week or on the weekend, and you want to try working maybe at a bank or somewhere downtown, it's possible to get work experience. Canada also offers students who get at least a 4-year degree or study for 2 years, 3-year post-graduation work permit. So this means that after you graduate, you can stay in Canada for up to 3 years, and you can work anywhere you want. So it's called an open work permit, and it's very flexible. Many of our students choose this. So we also have a very popular exchange program. 80% of our students go on exchange. That is a very high number. The average in Canada is about 2 or 3% of students who go on exchange. Because you are international students, you're coming from Taiwan, you don't have to go on exchange, but it is a great way to learn about other countries' business environments. For example, we have 90 partners all around the world, and these are in 41 countries. Also, these countries are not in English-speaking countries. So you cannot go to America, England, Australia, New Zealand. you have to go somewhere that speak English. So you must also learn a little bit of Portuguese, French, German, Vietnamese, Japanese. It's a really great way to open your eyes to the rest of the world. So we have this dual degree program. We have 20 partners with Taiwan, Japan, China, Germany, Mexico, and Korea, and the Netherlands. And we have 195 students already with this dual degree program. It's very good. Students can become quite successful studying in 2 and 2 years at our school. So this total program cost for 2 years. So 1 year would be about half of this, but the dual degree program cannot be completed in 1 year. You must complete both years in order to get the degree from UVic. So please note that these costs here are in Canadian dollars. It's very different from American dollars. It's actually much lower and cheaper. So it's better to study in Canada simply because the cost is a lot better. So this is the total cost of academic expenses. That means tuition and books and fees. Living expenses means living, including food. That's for 2 years, so 1 year about 11,000. So the total is 87,000 minus the potential earnings. So you earn about 11,000 per co-op. If you work for 4 months, you earn about $11,000. So times 3 is about $33,000 if you work in Canada. If you work in another country, your pay might be higher or lower. So there's 3 options at UVic. We have on-campus housing for first-year students. It's also the most expensive option. I know it's very different from Taiwan, but it's usually for students in first year. We also have home, but most students in 3rd year choose off-campus housing. Students are more independent, they're older, and it's also the cheapest option, which is why students rent a large house or a large apartment with 3 or 4 rooms, and everyone shares a kitchen. So how do you apply for this program? So first of all, the most important thing is in year 1 and in year 2, you must take these required courses. So for microeconomics, you must take this. Statistics, you must take both of these statistics courses. Commercial calculus, 1 course, and English for business, you must take all 3 of these courses. We only need 6 credits in total, but as you can see, if you take this one and this one, it's only 4 credits. So you actually must take all of these classes. You also must get at least 65% in these courses. Your other courses, it can be a mix. It can be higher and lower, but only for these courses, you must get at least 65%. You also must have an average of 3.0 or 73% average on most recent year of coursework. So that would be your GPA or point average. All right, number 2 is you must take an English exam in order to qualify. I think in Taiwan, most students take IELTS, but TOEFL is also possible. You must get 6.5, no band less than 6, and TOEFL 90, no band less than 20. So the application date is actually in January. You must take an IELTS test before you apply. However, there's one kind of flexible part to this program. If, you have taken all of the courses, you've done everything to apply, but your English score is still a little bit low, IELTS 6.0 or TOEFL 79, it's possible to get conditional admission. So this means from January to September, when the course starts, you have time to keep getting a higher English mark. You can take IELTS again and again and again and keep trying if you want. Or a 4-week university admission preparation course. That means you come to Victoria a month before classes start, and you study English, basically. There's a class, a special class that we have for students who need to increase English, and you must pass this course with 80%. So you don't need to take IELTS at the end of the course. You simply must pass the course with 80. The last thing you must do is supplemental application. Well, this is for all students, Canadian and international. So you must supply a resume, which is very easy to do. Personal statement for words, why you want to join the business school. Why do you think you will be successful? So Canada really expects you to say how amazing you are, how awesome you are. You really have to say, I am great and this is why. If you don't know, what your parents or your teachers, and they will give you some suggestions. Number 3 is impact statement. This is 200 words. This helps us to understand what kind of impact that you want to create. Our school really wants students who are really motivated to study, who really want to come to Canada and learn and teach the Canadian students about Taiwan, right? So please tell us what impact you want to make in the future. So you must have all of these documents prepared by January 31st, if you want to start September. Supplemental application, digital transcript, online application, in-progress course list. That means the courses that you will take in the spring and summer after you apply, English exam, and copy of past page. So if you have any questions, all of these documents will be emailed to me. So it's my job to look at your application and make sure everything is complete. And then I will send this to the admissions office. So if you have any questions at all, you can contact me. I'm happy to help you. You can email me, or these are some other ways that we can connect. So thank you for listening to my presentation. I'm going to stop sharing now, and I will ask if anybody has any questions. You are happy to answer them. You can use the chat box if you wish, or you can turn on your microphone and make great questions in English, or perhaps even in Mandarin if you want, and your teachers can translate. So does anyone have any questions? Or if the teachers have any questions, you are welcome to ask.
I would like to ask, if the deadline is 老师会有回音。
Oh, did someone ask a question? I couldn't hear it.
Yeah, I think that, again, the interruption is
Yeah,
there's an interruption. Could someone ask again?
要问同学要用老师的电脑回答吗？走到前面去，老师的音响有没有音响
？OK， 再问一遍，这样可以问。
So the deadline need to be finished by 2023 or 2022, like January 31st.
Sure, you have students here to ask you. Can you hear him? So what's your question?
他那个不是说 January 31st 要就是截止他的申请，那是2023还是1月30号？
你是要申请之后吗？
对。
Jeremy? Okay, he's asking that since you mentioned that the due date for the application is on January some date, so that will be applied for the coming fall, right? September.
Exactly. Yes. Yeah, the BCom program only has one entry point per year, which is in September.
So you only take the application once a year,
Yes, that's
and
right.
only for 4 semesters.
Yes, that's right.
And only for 4 semesters. I mean September. So because some other universities they might also take the enrollment for spring semester. So in the University of Victoria, you're only, it's only assembled for once a year. Is that right?
No, not exactly. So the University of Victoria does have a spring term, January, and also summer term in May. But the Bachelor of Commerce program is run kind of differently. It's kind of a special program. And we have cohort-based learning, which means that the students all start in September, and students are put into groups. And they will study all 5 classes in the fall, and all 5 classes in the spring together in the same group.
Okay.
And so it's not possible to have different entry points during the year. It's a very intense and satisfying program, but it's only one entry point per year.
So that's only for international students, right?
No Canadian students. We accept in the fall, in September, we accept 300 new BCom students every year, and that will be Canadian and international.
它是指的那一年的9月份全部，他们只有9月入学。好，那如果要9月入学，1月份就要申请。And I have a question because you mentioned that the 2+2, but you didn't mention that how many total credit for the whole requirement. Since we are also AACSB accredited university, so some of our students when they go to the school in the university in the United States, partially credit can be waived. Just like for example the statistics you mentioned, or some math courses too.
Yeah. Okay, yeah, so let me explain that a little bit more. So the reason that we went to all this trouble to sign the dual degree is because, if students from your university decide after year 1 that they want to transfer, it is actually possible, right? But we would do the course-by-course articulation. Some courses would get credit and some courses wouldn't, and so the students would kind of be behind on their degree plans. So what we use is called a block transfer. So all we ask is that students do 5 required courses, and this is Canadian and international: math, stats, microeconomics, and 2 English writing classes. Even the Canadian students have to do 2 English writing classes. And so all of the other classes, we don't look at them. We simply take them as a block, move them into UVic, and all the dual degree students will receive 3rd year standing when they start. So we will give your students completely 2 years worth of credit, I guess. So the minimum is that, in most American universities, students need 120 credits to graduate. So we would just need 60. So whatever your university needs for 4 years, we just take that in half. So if your students need 120 credits to graduate, they must come in with at least 60. Now, one of our partners in China, students actually study for 3 years because they don't have enough credits and they cannot get the home degree with only 2 years. So they actually study for 3 years at their school, and then they transfer into our school and do another 2 years. So it's actually a 5-year program for them. The students don't mind, I guess. But it doesn't matter if your students take more than 60. We simply need at least 2 years worth of credit. So in some ways, it's a little easier because we won't do course-by-course articulation. We simply ask for 5 required courses so that all of the students that start Taiwanese, Canadian, American are all at the same level in terms of skill.
OK， 那个听懂吗？就是说， 你们在这边有任何 background 都没有关系。你总而言之，它的几个什么经济啊、数学啊、统计啊，总共5个 major 的课，你要完成就是了。那如果你在我们亚洲大学，根据我的经验是都可以，大部分都可以 waive 的。OK， 像我们有统计学，我们有经济学，这是我学生都可以 waive。可是我们没有 math， 我们没有数学课，那我都会叫我的学生到别的学校去 summer 的时候修数学课。OK， 那总而言之 ，totally。它只要5个课程的 requirement， 那剩下呢，你到那边2年就是要修满60学分就好了，6 credit，6 credit 就这样子。OK， 还有什么问题？你们自己问。什么？你有没有？
没有。
至于
社团就是社团活动，有什么种类的社团？
They are interested to ask about the extracurricular activities.
Yes. So, for example, sports and clubs and things like that?
Yes?
Yeah, so UVic has 22,000 students, so we have 220 clubs. So we have a hiking club, photography club, hiking and photography club, sports clubs, soccer clubs, any kind of sport.
Yeah.
Pokemon club, there really is clubs for everything. And we really suggest that students join a club in order to make friends and get their English better. So, yeah, clubs are very popular at our school, and in the first week of school, we actually have kind of a club festival where the clubs will be introducing what they do and trying to get students to join.
I have scuba diving license.
We have a scuba club. We have a scuba club.
Yeah, I just saw that picture, the photo.
We're near the ocean. We
Yeah.
have a beautiful ocean.
Yeah, so
Very
close.
cold. It's cold, but we do have scuba.
OK， 那他们应该就没什么问题吧？是正确的。
要问那个托福接不接受那个 PPT？
在国际学校的英文只接受托福或雅思哦，没有其他的。托福的什么？这是教材的实名测，通常是电脑。
Picture process, maybe?
啊，实体课，纸笔，paper 的，that you can get equivalent。你现在读那个托福几分？500 ，OK， 500多 ，no， not good enough. Well, one of students asking that she took the TOEFL with the paper format. Okay, yes, equally about 500. I think that's not good enough because as I know, yeah.
Yeah, so as far as I know, I don't think that UVic is accepting a paper-based test anymore.
You don't
And the
accept.
results must be valid within 2 years. So I actually can't remember the paper-based test because we haven't used it in so long. But whatever the equivalent is, 90. I thought it was 530. 585. Oh my gosh,
No,
I
I
can't
think
remember now.
if you are saying else is 6.5, I think that is closely to 600.
Okay, yeah.
Very high.
Yes, it is. So definitely English is a barrier, and it's true that some students that want to join this program cannot get the English. Sometimes they wait another year, continue to study English, and they join the next year. But absolutely, if you are planning to apply, please start studying IELTS soon, like in year 1, and keep taking and studying on, writing or speaking, whatever is the issue that's difficult for you.
A side note, because you just mentioned that after they give them admission, and actually English proficiency probably only stay with IELTS, like for example 6, so they can take some extra language courses on campus in your Victoria. Is that what you just mentioned? Am I correct?
Yeah. So basically.
So once I mean, excuse me, sorry to interrupt. I mean, one course in summer will be enough. as long as they pass.
Yeah, however, that university admission preparation and summer English class in August, you must get at least IELTS 6 or TOEFL 79 in order to get into that class. Because in order to raise your IELTS by 0.5, it takes about 1 month, really studying every day. But if you are lower than that, it's not possible to raise IELTS by more than that in 4 weeks.
那刚才同学他的托福纸本不接受了，所以你必须要用那个其他的方式。那如果像我们学生都去就是补，我们系上有补，给学生特别1对1我们也补，所以我们学生到后来可以达到 IELTS 的6分，但是6分他要6.5分，所以如果你是 IELTS 6分或者托福现在电脑版的70多分的话，那他会允许你在那边8月份读1个月，每天去读，只要你过了就不用再用6.5分。所以你们的要去这个学校的目标是6，雅思6，或者是托福的差不多75左右，因为它6.5是79嘛。那如果是6往下拉，安全点，它们73、75。那你只要达到这个标准的话，那你就可以那边去读1个月的。每天5天，连续5天的，只要过了，他就不会要求你再考到6.5这样子。那可以保证的就是这个学校，刚才他们的Sherry, one more question, because you mentioned that you have some co-op opportunity. Is that guaranteed or?
Yeah, that's a very good question. So students always ask, what happens if I don't find a job? So actually, it's not possible. So in order to graduate with us, you have to find a job. So what we do is when students start in 3rd year, each student will be paired one-on-one with a co-op coordinator. And we suggest that students meet them, once a week, and they tell them, what kind of job do I want? How do I get the job? How do I write my resume? How do I interview? How do I network with the right people in order to find that job? And so it's working over 8 months with your co-op coordinator and then deciding how to get the right job. We also have a database called Learning in Motion with about 1,000 jobs for companies that regularly hire our co-op students. And so students go on this database and they can look for jobs there, get an interview, and try to get the job. Or they can find a job on their own somewhere in the city, interview, and then register that job with our co-op department. So the job must be registered. We have rules about job safety, so we have to make sure the job that they're doing is in a safe environment. We have to make sure they're really getting paid. There's a few conditions that need to be met, but students do find their own jobs all the time. If you want to work, if you have, some contact with Germany or some other country, you can do that. So we don't get the job for you, but we really coach students on how to get a job in Canada. And, it's not that easy. Even Canadian students struggle. So part of our, philosophy is before students graduate, they will have at least 1 year of work experience. So as you can imagine, when you graduate, you've got 2 degrees, 1 from Taiwan, 1 from Canada, and you've got resume, both with work experience.
OK， 那个同学们，刚才讲过，他们有那个所谓的 co-op， 就是你在这边可以跟人家就是做工，有点像我们的实习。那他刚才讲说，2年大概花87万的加拿大币，那等于我们台币将近200万其实这个是个非常不算贵的学校。OK， 但是呢，比其他学校的好处是，他会帮你，才大3开始帮你去跟你讨论你的co-op，就是跟人家外面工作会有一个1对1的帮你辅导。然后你一旦找到工作，大部分刚刚讲，大概1个月可以台币差不多6万1，所以它原本的87万加拿大币，经过如果你有去做实习公司的话， 你的成本大概就会变成5万、54万，啊，那就省掉你很多很多钱，2年下来才花到100万左右，啊，那就是非常划算。但是呢，他必须在你大三开始呢，就必须跟他讨论你要带他去什么样的 co-op 的公司这样子。
所以他不是强制性一定要找工作。
哦，没有强制性，但你可以就是，但是他们通常，因为你毕业后可以在加拿大工作3年，好，因为你通常身份问题，如果没有他的国籍，那你可以用那个3年的工作时间去，如果合法留下来，他就会变成帮你去申请加拿大籍。那加拿大籍比美国籍好申请啊，因为他们对那个技术人员的要求会比较多，这样子。但是加拿大工作不会像美国这么好找。像因为有很多朋友在加拿大都说工作没有那么想象中好找 ，OK， 所以这个刚才就讲这个 co-op 的话，其实对他们来说也是很，即使是加拿大学生也很竞争的这样，好吧？还没有什么问题 ？Okay, Sharia, thank you very much for your time. And I think for all the application information, probably you can email to Professor William, and I will pass to student here to for further reference. Yes. Okay. And thank you very much.
Thank you so much for your translation.
That's okay. Okay. Yeah, just happened in my class. Okay. All right. Okay. Hope we can see each other sometime. Okay. Okay.
If the border open, I will be there for a visit. So
Okay.
thank you so much for your time, and yeah.
Okay. Thank you. 来，大家给他拍拍手吧。Okay. Bye. Bye. 好吧，那同学如果有什么问题，我会请他把那个申请的资料给涂老师，涂老师再给你们讲。如果你们有什么问题，还可以再问我。